Super. So thanks for having me. I want to thank everyone who's organized this event, and it's really exciting to be here, and looking forward to the next 2 days to learn from all of you. I'm really excited about the theme in particular of this event because it really helped me step back and think about like when I started at P&G and in analytics and insights. And I don't know about most of you, but when I started at P&G, I had first of all, I shared a desktop computer with a cubicle mate. So I don't know if any of you had a similar experience, but we had to work out when we could use the computer, right? Secondly, computing power, even if you had a computer, the computing power wasn't very good. So, I would do these volume forecasts. We had these models built into Excel. And when you put in all the marketing inputs and you hit run, you could go out to lunch for 2 hours with your colleague because that's how long it took for the model to process everything. And when you came back, hopefully it had finished and you would get your volume forecast, right? So this maybe dates me a little bit. I've been at P&G for 21 years, but the world has changed a lot. Our work in insights has changed a ton, and the world of our consumers, customers that we are all serving has changed. But at the heart of what we do, that hasn't changed, right? At least at P&G, we really believe what has stayed the same is that our job is to build brands that provide a consumer experience that's superior in all aspects, okay? And when we do that well, they'll reward us. So while what we do hasn't changed, how we do it, and how we do it in a way that is meaningful with our consumers has changed a ton. And the way that we have tried to make sure we're transforming our analytics and insights organization at Procter & Gamble is under this mantra of eyes on the consumer, hands on the keyboard. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next few slides. So why is this important? I work in our global baby care organization, and in a way, I think because of our consumer demographic, I feel like we're a bit at the forefront, tip of the spear, if you will, of how consumers around the world are changing. I'll give you 3 examples. One is in the US, 70% of the waking hours of our consumers are spent on devices, connected devices, right? Whether it's a mobile phone, a tablet, computer, any kind of connected device. Secondly, in China, over 60% of our business is now sold through e-commerce platforms. 99% of those transactions are done on a mobile device. So basically, we have to win in mobile or we have nothing. And then third, even in Europe, where maybe some of these numbers are a little bit less than the US or China, we definitely see we're able to get effective reach that's higher on digital platforms than we can among mothers of babies versus TV. Okay, so we know we've needed to move quickly with the consumer. And this is why eyes on the keyboard, eyes on the consumer, hands on the keyboard is really important. The work that we do, how we're observing, listening, and really walking in the shoes of consumers has to change, right? So when I joined baby care 3 years ago, I had the chance to go to China, and I watched one of our junior researchers do an in-home. And one of the fascinating things that I saw her do was, she'd open up the interview, and one of the first things she did was she asked, hey, can you show me your mobile phone? Show me your WeChat, okay? And I don't know if everyone here, hopefully you're familiar with WeChat, but it's basically the everything platform in China, right, for messaging, social. And she asked the mom, hey, can you show me what groups you're part of? What do you guys chat about? And at the end of the interview, she also asked, hey, can I friend you? Can I connect with you? And later on, if I have questions, do you mind if I ask you? And then pretty much every time they would say yes. And she built her own network of moms that whenever we had like a urgent question, she could just post out to this group and get answers, right? The whole experience really opened my eyes to how different, one, obviously China, being super connected, that how we do work, how we connect with the consumer really needed to change. And this person on my team did a fabulous job of it. Then hands on the keyboard. Again, from at least a baby care perspective, one of the first things I saw was that versus I had previously worked on our laundry business at P&G, and just the amount of online consumer commentary was just a magnitude different, right? So it was 10 times. If you're a mom, you're 10 times more likely to comment about diapers, and diapers aren't sexy, right? But you're 10 times more likely to comment on diapers, are they working, not working, which brands to use, than you are about a laundry detergent. And so there's just so much information out there, so much that we can mine. We've invested a ton in social listening and analyzing ratings and reviews to really help us have a better pulse of the heartbeat of what consumers are talking about with each other, and really be able to use that as a source of innovation. Okay. And when we can do that, bring these two pieces together really well, and do it in a way that is really do learn. We're constantly experiencing. That's where I think as a function, as an industry, we can really make a powerful impact. So I want to talk a little bit about one project in baby care that's near and dear to my heart, and I think it's pertinent considering we're here in Amsterdam, and this is actually the first place we are doing a pilot commercialization of this project. It's our diaper recycling program that we call Pampers Eco Club. I don't know if for the people who are based here in Amsterdam, if you've come across it, but it's really an exciting project. As transformative as the invention of the disposable diaper was in the 20th century for parents, what we're hearing from 21st century parents today is that they are screaming for an ecological solution to disposable diapers to solve the job of taking care of their baby. And they want help, right? And we think this is part of the solution. So.
We care about babies' healthy development, but just as importantly, we want to provide the same well-being to the world they'll grow up in. That's why we're launching Pampers Eco Club, a recycling program that turns used nappies into new materials. With Pampers Eco Club, all parents will have to do is log on to their phones to start recycling diapers. The Pampers Eco Club app will help users locate the nearest drop-off point in their local supermarket or daycare center. It will generate a QR code to open the disposal bin with, and it'll keep track of the amount of recycled nappies. The Pampers Eco Club program was co-created with parents in Amsterdam. They loved the idea and provided valuable inputs. Here's what they had to say.
Finally, someone is doing something about diaper waste.
I like that it's flexible, no subscription or special bags needed.
I want to see my contribution to the environment.
As long as it fits into my daily routine, I'm in.
As an additional recruitment tool, we also plan to reward parents for recycling. At each drop-off, they'll earn points, redeemable for Pampers discounts, mum and baby gifts, or benefits for our planet and community. With Pampers Eco Club, a small daily gesture helps to make a real difference. Pampers Eco Club, Amsterdam 2018.
So hopefully you get a sense for what that, what we're trying to do with the recycling program. I talked a little earlier about, superiority and how do we give consumers a superior experience. If you look at, if you watch the video, you probably saw that there's very little about diapers, right? all the normal stuff we talk about in terms of superior dryness, leakage protection, better softness and comfort. There's nothing there. This is a very new space for us because we've had to try to learn very quickly about how to give consumers a superior experience in the end of life part of that cycle. The collection of the diapers, how do they get dropped off? The bin, how do they find a bin? The app experience that allows them to use the bin and communicates back to them the positive impact they're making on the world. And we've really had to really embrace this eyes on consumer, hands on keyboard approach to quickly learn, right? So I'll just show a very simple example of this. This program the pilot started in December, so we've only been doing this now for a few months. But one of the things we wanted to really do is for the consumers that are part of it, really quickly understand what parts are working, what parts are not. How do we quickly continue to iterate on a weekly, monthly basis that allows us to continue to improve as we try to scale up. So one of the things that we've done is have regular survey invitations through the app to the pilot consumers, and just constantly be in touch with them closely on their experience, right? So we send them an invite, and I'm just showing some mobile screenshots of what the survey, the types of questions that we're asking, but how did they become aware of the program? How are they aware of the benefits they can get from it in terms of discounts? And then from an app functionality, what things would they like, right? So really quickly, a few of the insights that we've learned. And some of these, in a way, you could argue are a bit embarrassing, but I'll show them anyway. As much we have a retail partner, Atos here, and we've done what we feel like is a lot of in-store marketing, kind of neighborhood marketing of the program. But one of the first things we've learned is that the source of awareness is actually the bins. The physical drop-off point has been the biggest driver. And so one, we need to leverage that asset. Two, we know we need to do a better job of the customer marketing and really maybe do more marketing than we expected. Second, consumers love the environmental benefit of this, and this isn't a complete surprise, but I think we're now trying to give even more data, right, to the consumer to reinforce the habit of recycling. So, for instance, every time you drop off a bag of diapers, you can track the total number of kilograms that you've saved from going to the landfill. You can see the carbon footprint impact that you're having. These things, I think, help reinforce the habit that we're trying to create. Third, the physical location and how well it fits into their lives of the bins is really important. So now we know we need to actually, as we continue to scale out the program, we need to bring more neighborhood analytics in terms of strategically placing bins in Amsterdam and then when we scale to other cities. So that'll be really important. Four, obviously we want this, not to be good for consumers, that we also need it to be good for our retail partners and as well as for us. I think we're getting some good insights in terms of this having an impact on foot traffic, which we like. And then lastly, the app. Again, this is probably maybe one of the embarrassing ones, which is we started out where the functionality is that when you join us in the pilot, only one account can open that bin in your household, and that account only links to one phone, right? So obviously, if you're in a two-parent household, or even if you have caretakers, you have a grandparent or even nanny, you want everyone in the household to be able to open a bin. We didn't build in that functionality, so we've done that. So just a few examples, but I think why is this important? Why do we why I think this hands-on keyboard type approach has been useful for us. One, there's I think just an overall efficiency component of this. Besides, I think we've done an initial licensing with a vendor to give us a research platform, but you can see from this, like, we are able to connect with consumers very directly, right? So they're in our program, we know exactly who they are, and we can be constantly in contact with them. And it's allowed us to have very regular, high response rate interaction with them, and it's fast. And this is maybe the most important thing, which is, being close to the consumer, being fast is so critical for a project like this, because we need to continue to show progress on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis. And this is, I think, where the world is moving, both internally and externally. So I share this example. I think this is a good example of how the different competencies from eyes on consumer, hands on keyboard are coming together for us, and how critical it is in a project like this. We've had to invest a lot on the data and analytics side. I think the people on my team who are working in this project really need to be able to balance both understanding the data that's coming in, as well as knowing how to understand the lives of the moms and dads in the pilot, and what's required to make the success. And I think for sure the success of this program will only happen if we really bring these competencies together. So if I step outside this project, and I again look from a consumer lens, and from particularly in the category that I work in, I really see these kind of three trends becoming more and more important. First, consumers are gaining more and more power, right? So if maybe 10 years ago, one of the things that we talked about was the needing to co-create with customers, or call it retail partners, we're finding more and more that consumers have the expectation that we're co-creating, we're innovating for them. If they don't feel like we're doing the right thing for them, they'll go somewhere else. Okay, so being closer and closer to the consumer directly, in particular in a project like this on recycling, I think will become the norm. I think secondly, this hands-on innovation approach, this co-creation, will be needing to do that more and more. And it needs to be powered because of the lives that the consumers are living, being more connected, more data-driven, being able to leverage that data and bring insights back to them, converse with them with that data, will be the future. And what does that mean from a total industry standpoint? I think as much of things are changing, and that we need to evolve with those changes, a lot still, in terms of like the foundation of what we do, we still feel is very important, right? So even though maybe how we do the work is changing, I think the need for transparency in terms of who the consumers are, in terms of who we're talking to, or if it's media who we're reaching, making sure that we have objective measurement, that the data that we're looking at is representative, is complete, will still be very important. So even like when look at the example of the recycling, we've had to be very careful about how we look at that data. The DIY approach, we still want to make sure we have representatives within that pilot group, and how does that pilot group may potentially scale up to a broader Amsterdam population. We need to look at those things very carefully, and that's something we want to do together with all of you. So that's what I wanted to share. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope you all have a good next 2 days.